Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and let me tell you what, today, every once in a while I'll start a show and I'll say this, and I'm going to say it again. This is one of those where I'm like, and it's because my X account was freed, and it's like things I had forgotten all about opened up. It's like it's kind of like I've been operating with one hand tied behind my back, and now I can see all of the things that it's like I wasn't being allowed to see certain things. Well, and so I'm pulling back up some of the things from my library. I call it my library. It's my Twitter feed, which I lost access to, all my past tweets and all that. So strap in. Well, first, this caught my eye this morning. This XRP captain, Ripple IPO will send XRP to unexpected prices. Now, this brings up an interesting topic. I told you that Link2, and I'll show it to you. I told you that today Link2 was adding Ripple private equity back on the platform. They are my sponsor. So if you're looking for Ripple equity, you can go and check it out today. It'll be there. But this tweet brings up something that should be talked about more, and it's been talked about. But I've got a specific clip where it's addressed, and that is Brad Garlinghouse had said that XRP was not on the Ripple balance sheet, and there's been a lot of discussion. I remember getting into a tit for tat with Mike Novogratz back in 2019 about the issue of XRP, the valuation of XRP versus the valuation of Ripple equity. It's two separate things. We're in uncharted territory. Linda P. Jones, this was at a Link2 conference in Napa Valley that I went to. Watch what she says about this.
Than you were a year ago. I mean, it is an incredible buy still. And that's why we say, don't pay attention to what is the share price. Some people say, oh, it's expensive because it's a $40 share price. But it's not the price of the share, it's the value of the company that you want to look at, because a valuation of something like $6.6 billion with Ripple has the potential to IPO at a much greater value. So just as a comparative measure, some of you have heard me say this. How many people have heard me do that level of calculation? Some of you? Thank you. So we can compare Ripple to other companies that are like companies, that are similar companies. And that's kind of hard to do, except for one company, and that's Coinbase, that was on the Link2 platform and went public at a valuation of $86 billion. So Ripple being at $6.6 billion right now, and Coinbase going public at $86 billion, that's more than 10 times where Ripple is right now. So that's why I say, I think, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, I think that the potential for Ripple could be more than a 10-time improvement in your initial investment. So if you invested $10,000 in Ripple, it could become a $100,000 investment. And that's just if it doesn't do as well as Coinbase did. If it does better than Coinbase, which it could, and it could for one very important reason, and that is because right now Ripple holds their XRP asset at zero value on their balance sheet. So there's no value right now for XRP on the Ripple balance sheet. So if Ripple does value XRP at 50 cents today, or whatever it is selling at today, or if they're able to give it a higher valuation because it moves up from where it is today, if it went to its old highs at roughly 384, thank you, Jackie. 384. That put us at over a 14x valuation, where $10,000 invested could become $140,000. So the potential with Ripple, I think, is one of the best.
14x.
the link to platform.
But you see, the point there is that if they do put it on the balance sheet, and there's all kinds of different ways this thing could come down, but it's a pretty fascinating conversation. And so this will be today at 3:30 Eastern time. I'm going to do an X Spaces. It'll be on John Deaton's channel. So, and we were going to talk about me getting back on to X. That'll be fun. I'm going to put this firmly in my, I think I've got 3 or 4 red files, the All the World's a Stage file. I saw this picture today and I just thought I'd mention this goes directly. We're going to print this out and put it in the red file today. Now, I saw this clip today, and so I asked Paul Barron TV if he had heard of ETHgate. Watch this.
I want to kind of wrap up on a couple
Barron.
of topics here. Ethereum right now, many people look at this as the technology that really could be the next internet. And you look at super cycles, if you compare it to something, say, like an Amazon, just to give you an example, if you were an investor in Amazon in 2015, do you feel like ETH may be in that kind of position where it's just a super cycle and just all the way up, just because of the technology adoption and all that stuff that we're talking about right now?
I don't think so, because I just don't believe in the idea of a super cycle, as I said before. And I do think other things will grab market share, but I think Ethereum's going to $10,000. The fact is, for a lot of us who are crypto native, and I learned this the hard way the last cycle, like many people, even outside of, Voyager bankruptcy and losing millions there. But, when the cycle ends, there'll be plenty of time to buy back. Like 3 years, and I don't believe that things only go up. It's never happened in any market. So I don't think that the super cycle idea is going to come to fruition just because it's the thing that I love. But you become way too overweight crypto, right?
Yeah.
And no matter how much you believe in it, you just got to rebalance, right? And I failed to rebalance some. I took plenty of profit, but I failed to rebalance some in the last market, and I regret it. And I'm not gonna make that mistake again when everybody's.
He mentioned Voyager and how much money he lost on Voyager. I had a conversation with a guy that worked at Voyager one time at a conference, and he was trying to explain to me, you just don't understand, Ripple is going nowhere. And he worked at Voyager. Interesting story, huh? So is this. I asked Empower and Jason Foster, you remember them? Empower was the nonprofit that stepped in and started doing the Freedom of Information Act request. Jason Foster is the founder. They stepped in and they were they had sued to get the communications between Bill Hinman and the SEC and the people on this list right here. Look, Stephen Narioff's on the list. And so I asked them where they were at on this this lawsuit right here. So maybe we'll get an answer from them today. Look forward to that. Also, I said I'm having a little fun today with my X account. Remember that time I got kicked off X and lost my access to my tweet about how JP Morgan banked Mt. Gox? They also banked a certain island guy who we'll talk about in the member group at DAIXRP.com. Boy, you want to talk about spicy. Go to DAIXRP.com and go sign up at DAIXRP.com, and you're going to want to watch the end of this video. Woof. And then Cowboy Crypto, it's good seeing him out here. He's pointing out one of my older tweets. In this tweet, I'm showing how Stripe was the original investor in Stellar, and they got 2% of Stellar's. They got 2% of the XLM in existence. Okay, we don't know what happened to their 2% after Stellar burned 50 billion of their 100 billion tokens. We don't know what happened there. I'm assuming they've still got their 2%, which makes it 4%. But Cowboy Crypto is pointing out Mark Carney, ex-governor of Bank of England, and Canada, also Goldman Sachs with Gensler, is on the board of Stripe. Gary hired Stripe while working as CFO for that person's campaign, who we can only talk about them at DAIXRP.com, not here. But in this video, he says that they use Stripe. You know who else uses Stripe? That would be the X platform. And do you know who was one of the original backers of Stripe? Would be, I think, Elon Musk and a lot of the PayPal mafia guys. That's why I've always had this theory that the PayPal mafia was behind both XRP and XLM, but who knows? We'll see. Now, while I was off of X, Mark Cuban had done a tweet. It was in reply to something where they were talking about the corruption of the government or SEC or whatever. I think it was the SEC. And he tweeted, because Mark Cuban's a basketball guy, and they call college basketball playoffs March Madness. And he had a great tweet where he said, FOIA madness, Freedom of Information Act madness. And he was basically saying maybe there needs to become a coordinated effort to file Freedom of Information Act requests against all these people in government that are hiding things and being dishonest. So John Deaton picked up on it. This is a reply to one of my tweets. I'll show you that tweet in a minute. After Mark's tweet about FOIA madness, I posted whether there's an interest in setting up a FOIA commission. Many people responded. We're having a Zoom meeting on Friday to organize, looking for a name. Right now I have Citizens for Transparency, but maybe someone can come up with a better name. I'm going to work on that, John. I'm pretty good at coming up with names. All right. Well, along those lines, I had the idea to go back through some of my old stuff. What are the things, and this is part of what I would do if I was doing FOIA madness, is I would go back through the library of all of the dishonesty and corruption we've seen and we've got so many clips and so many tweets where we can go back and we can say, well, that'd be a great thing to get Freedom of Information Act request on. Remember how Gary Gensler was working with FTX before FTX went bankrupt, and nobody has ever made him. Bill Huizenga here's asking him about it. Nobody has ever made Gary give up the goods on what they were talking about, the emails, the correspondences, the meetings between Gary Gensler and FTX. Here's
I believe in congressional oversight, and I know
okay. All right, moving on. I'm taking that as a no. So the climate disclosure request, you like that. You're responding to our FTX request solely with publicly available documents. To date, 213 pages of those publicly available documents have produced. And guess what? You didn't give us anything surrounding the charges filed against Sam Bankman-Fried. On April 12, Chair McHenry and I sent you a follow-up letter, and we're led to believe that the staff recommendation memo presented to the commission for a vote on charges against Sam Bankman-Fried exists. Is that true? Is there a memo from the staff recommending to the commission the charges that Sam Bankman-Fried was ultimately charged with?
Under standard practice, our commission receives action memos from the staff whenever.
So it does exist.
We work on.
So it does exist. Okay, well, you haven't.
A bunch of BS answers, and that's the point, folks. That's why I said here, hey, Representative Huizenga, when are you going to start subpoenaing these guys? Just like I asked Patrick McHenry. But then hashtag FOIA madness, because the people might be time for the people to take this into their own hands and have an organized Freedom of Information Act effort. And this is another one of the first things that I would do. I even copied Mark Cuban in on it. Mark Cuban, you're really missing out. You should follow me. I don't see why you're not. But look at this. You see this one? Do you remember this one? Remember when there was this bombshell exclusive? That's a great thumbnail for today. Where they found Fox News, they found out that Gary Gensler had deleted key details of meetings. No, I think he deleted the fact that the meetings happened themselves from his public calendar. Gary Gensler to this day has not told anybody or shown when he had these meetings, is my understanding. But more importantly, what were the meetings about, and how about email communications between him and these people? Now there's a video to go along with this, and I'm going to show that in the member group here in a minute at daixrp.com. But that's not all. I'm going to tie this together. Now remember what this guy's in the business of. He's in the business of manipulating currencies. Go figure. Imagine, why would Gary be meeting with this guy? He also specializes in keeping companies offshore so that he's out of the reach of the SEC. I'll show you the video, don't worry. But it's got to be some of these things I used to show out here. I'm not doing anymore. I'm gonna keep them in the DAIXRP.com. We're gonna and then I'm gonna show you a guy. He's the mystery. Did I say the E word? I didn't mean to say it out here. We're gonna show you a guy who was on the plane of that island guy. Okay, might have to cut out that part. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. DAIXRP.com. I believe a lot of these things are tied together.